As a gamer, I define Monster Hunter as 10 out of 10 pure art, would certainly play again. As a biologist, on the other hand, this game gives me an extensive headache. If you have played any Monster Hunter game for an extended period of time, you have most likely run into this. The timing of the sands and the reason why I cannot sleep at night. Introducing the Diablos. Traversing underneath the sands, this very large and territorial flying wyvern covered in an armor plating with two iconic bull-like horns is sure to test his skill with any hunter that comes into contact with one. And while casually browsing the wiki and ignoring most of my responsibilities as a student, I discovered this bit of information. Diablos are herbivores known to feed on the plentiful cacti of the desert. Now, if you're any normal person, that is just some pretty cool background information. This is a herbivore. One of the largest and most terrifying monsters in the entire series, and it's a goddamn herbivore. It's 2023, almost 24. I can't assume anything here, but it being a carnivore would make a lot more sense. I didn't spend tens of thousands of freedom dollars on studying animals just to let this slide. Now, I can go on and on about the digestive tract and the nutritional requirements for some beast like this to be a herbivore, but instead of biting off more than I could chew on a 5-minute video, let's just talk about the dental anatomy. You see what I did? Please kill me. Now, bear with me for a minute or two. I need to explain some nerd shit right now. Form follows function. You've heard of this in some way, shape, or form throughout school. Probably. Just like how you wouldn't use a hammer to cut a piece of meat or a knife to hit in a nail, our teeth are kind of similar in that they are specialized for a specific task. Grasping, seizing, piercing, grinding, ripping, tearing, attacking, harassing, bullying, name-calling, dictating, doing taxes, performing acrobatics, and burning a small village. Okay, maybe not the last few, but each tooth does have a job based on how it's structured. Your first front teeth are called incisors. They pick up, grasp, and introduce food into the mouth so they can be chewed. Next are the canines, which are pointy teeth next to the incisors that aid in ripping and tearing of food, especially those that contain meat. And these are also the first teeth that you'll use to penetrate your armor while you're in the mouth of an angionath. Ugh. And finally, you have your premolars and molars, in other words, your cheek teeth. They grind down food so that they can be easily digested in the stomach. Depending on the species and diet, the relative sizes and shapes of all these teeth can change. Now, before we move on, are you really sitting there unsubscribed? Better go hit that and the notification bell while you're down at there, or I will use your teeth for my next demonstration. Alright, with that out of the way, herbivores have incisors that are flat to help uproot grasses or pick off foliage from branches. They have small to virtually no canines that are rarely used except for fighting, and they have cheek teeth that lay flat on top of each other to really help grind material down. Carnivores, on the other hand, have very pointy teeth with enlarged canines, which, if you couldn't guess, comes from the need to rip apart fat and meat. Omnivores like us share attributes from both ends of the dietary spectrum. All of our teeth are generally the same size, with flat incisors, sharp canines, and relatively flat cheek teeth. Now, with all of that out of the way, I can finally get back to complaining. What the actual There's a reason why herbivores have adapted over time to have flat teeth. It's just the most efficient way of getting plant-based food into the mouth and grinding it down to be digested. Plants contain very little calories and take a very long time to digest the fiber to get those calories out. This forces herbivores to spend a lot of their time during the day foraging just to stay alive. I mean, just look at the elephant. That takes 18 hours out of a 24-hour day just eating. And when you're as big as some people's egos, I know, you only need to eat even more to sustain that size. Now, the pointy teeth of the Diablos would cause them to struggle eating the material it is said to do so. If you don't believe me, take a pair of scissors, go outside, and try to uproot a blade of grass using only the scissors. It's not very easy now, is it? The same would pretty much apply to the Diablos. The plant would just be cut at the lowest part it can reach, leaving everything below untouched and impossible to get to. And when you live in the desert with very limited access to food, you need to get every single calorie you can get from each plant, including the roots. This is why having flat incisors is pretty much present in every herbivore we know and see. The pinching motion does a much better job at grabbing onto a plant and ripping it out of the ground. And that is only considering the incisors. Having flat cheek teeth are far more valuable in herbivores to grind fibers down. Now imagine if you're trying to grind it down when your teeth fit together like a lock and key. Not easy. You can't even make the argument that they have evolved to use their teeth for fighting. Literally everything else on this beast is used during combat. The tusks, horns, the hard shell, and the tail that makes TBI your least concerning issue. There just simply is no evolutionary advantage for the teeth to have developed this way in a herbivore. But if it's not a herbivore, then what is it? I do want to hear what you think down in the comments below, but this is what I'm thinking. There is a lot of information pointing that the Diablos is actually a carnivore, at least evolved from some kind of carnivorous animal. The big giveaway here is the pointy teeth and the enlarged canines, very similar to what we kind of see in like dogs. Now it could also just be some bad wording, but several titles have under the Diablos' description that they are capable of burrowing into the sands to attack the prey from below, indicating that they do eat others for food. Now, there is an animation in MHW that shows that the Diablos does consume cacti, so obviously they aren't purely carnivores, and the cop-out answer is that they're omnivorous. So, sorry Capcom, I ain't biting into your herbivore supremacy propaganda. I simply just cannot believe that the Diablos is purely a herbivore from the Monster Hunter series. But hey, that's just the thing. Whoa there, buddy. Chill out. You've been watching a bit too much game theory recently. We cannot finish that statement, but we should probably start looking at a better way to end these videos.